There are many bosses in the game, and the difficulty of them also depends on a lot of other factors besides of strategy and stuff, like your gear, the weapons you're using, and stuff like that. I'm doing this boss ranking based only on one playthrough. I'm expecting if you do another playthrough or you start on New Game Plus, the boss difficulty will change accordingly. I've noticed in New Game Plus, even the first enemy you encounter, not even the boss, is incredibly difficult. So I'm expecting that each and every boss after that is going to be increasingly more difficult. Also, if I would start a new game and do it all over again, I'm expecting that some of the bosses that are ranked more difficult in this playthrough would become a little bit more easy for me, since I know the mechanics a little bit better, and I would probably do some more leveling up before I started the bosses themselves in the first place. The easiest boss in the game is the third boss you will encounter. From the moment he starts fighting you, you already feel like this is the first time you're going to be able to defeat a boss without dying. And that was also the case for me. I defeated Brother Eli without breaking a sweat. His attacks are not that strong and easy to evade. So by attacking regularly and just keeping your health up, you will easily defeat this boss. You will have to defeat Brother Eli not once, but twice, and if you think about it, even thrice. The first time you encounter him, he's an easy target. And the second time around, this is also the case. His attacks are a little bit different, but he's still weak and easy to defeat. The same strategy goes here. Keep on attacking and keep your health up to defeat him easily. Matriarch Celeste is a boss you're going to meet somewhere mid-game. You already have a good idea of how to defeat bosses. Normally you always level up before a new boss, and you should be well prepared for this one. When I encountered Celeste, she did absolutely no damage to me. It was very easy to heal, her attacks were not that strong, easy to evade, and I didn't feel like this was a mid-game boss at all. As with all easy bosses in this game, the same strategy applies in the first playthrough. Heal, evade, and attack as much as possible. If you feel threatened, just dodge back, heal, and attack again. When I first saw Goddess Elena, I thought this was going to be a difficult one. For some reason, I had problems with shield enemies in this game from the start, and when I saw this enemy had a shield, I thought I was in for a good one. Thankfully, with just one strong hit, her shield was down and the attack phase could start. During the battle, sometimes she activated her shield again, but with one easy strong hit, I was managed to put it down and start attacking her again. Once her shield was down, attacking her was quite easy. She did some nano damage, but if you just equip some good armor that resists some nano damage, she doesn't really affect you at all. Just keep attacking, do some strong hits, do some fast hits, and retreat to heal once in a while to get your health up. For this far in the game, I felt like the boss was a little bit too easy, but the same can be said for the end boss. Maybe Deck 13 just wanted you to have a feel for the enemies before you start New Game Plus, and then increase the difficulty on them.
All hail Eli, the spark incarnate!
Thankfully, Archangel Eli is a little bit more difficult than his predecessors, namely the two Brother Eli fights. And although he was a little bit more difficult than the previous bosses I mentioned, he was still too easy for an end boss. His attacks were not incredibly strong, and because of the time between his different attacks, it was quite easy to head in there and attack him for a few times and then head out again to heal up, wait for an opportunity to attack him again. If you would have encountered this boss in the start of the game, he would surely have a higher rank in the difficulty ranking. But since you're more experienced in this part of the game and your gear is leveled up to a point that almost no enemy can defeat you anymore, it's quite easy to defeat this boss. Delvar Echo Gamma is the third boss of this kind that you meet in the game. Weirdly enough, it's also the most easiest. The Delvar bosses all have a different attack style. So this Delvar boss isn't easier because you already know how it attacks you. Just weirdly enough, it's weaker than any of the previous one. The previous Delvar bosses did a variety of melee and ranged attacks, which made them a little bit more difficult. So if you go in there, just attack him with melee hits for a few times and then dodge out, there's a chance that you won't even be hit by him. If however you got hit, just do the basic thing you always do with every boss, heal up and attack again. Since the previous two Delvar bosses were quite difficult, I expected they would have done something really special with the third one, which also unlocks a trophy to defeat all three of them. In my opinion, it's strange that the third Delvar boss, also near the end of the game, is the easiest of the three of them. This boss fight can be divided into two sections. In the first section you will fight Metal Armor. Metal Armor is a mecha robot that does long distance damage in the form of a flamethrower and Gatling gun. If you come too close to him, he will kick you, doing high range damage. Once defeated, the mecha will explode and Major General Ezra's shields will jump out of the mecha. Here the second part of this boss fight will start. The Major will come at you and will do close combat high damage. Even though the mecha is destroyed, he will still occasionally shoot high damage laser rounds at you. The best tactic would be fighting the Major up close while hiding behind the large boxes that are still in the arena. If you weren't hit by the laser with full health, you won't be in too much trouble, as the melee hits from the general don't do that much damage. Even though I defeated this boss in the first try, I found it more difficult than others, which I've also defeated without dying. Still, I wouldn't rank it higher as easy to medium difficulty. The next boss in terms of difficulty will be Harold, a once friendly cyborg who's turned against you. He does a variation of long range and short distance attacks. You can attack him all the time, but there's one moment that he's extremely vulnerable. This is when he jumps forward to attack you and then stands still for a few seconds and is open for any kind of attack. Although this is the best moment to attack him, I've attacked him all the time except when he's shooting out nano robots to you. Harold does two types of elemental attacks, nano and electricity. The electricity doesn't really bother me that much, as when your meter gets full you just stand still for a moment, but you can keep on healing. You should be aware of the nano attacks though. When your nanometer fills up, it tends to do a lot of damage. Next in the list is Delvar. Delvar is a boss you see very early on in the game, but you won't meet him until you're about 10 hours in the game. This is the first boss in this ranking list where it starts to be a little bit more difficult. Delvar is the only boss that has 3 health bars, and when you empty one of his health bars, he will change shape and change also attack styles. From its 3 different shapes, I would say the last one is the easiest, the second one is the most difficult, and the first one is in between. In his first and second shape he does long and short range damage, but I feel in his second shape it was a little bit more difficult to get hits out of him, as he jumps past you and you don't have a lot of time to hit him before he does another attack. Strange enough though, I defeated this boss in just 2 tries. I feel like this enemy in New Game Plus is going to be a real tough guy to beat. It will take me some time to get there, but once I've defeated all bosses in New Game Plus, I'll give you an update on the ranking list. Just after you've received your exoskeleton suit, you'll encounter your first boss fight. This is Warden Garcia. This boss comes quite quick after starting the game. So if you're like me and you're not really experienced with the controls and you really haven't upgraded your weapons or gear yet, this boss is going to be difficult. Since you don't have good gear, this boss requires you to learn his moves and think of a tactic to defeat him. Like all bosses, if you found a good tactic to defeat him, it's quite easy from there on out. Still, you have to be careful for his attacks. You need to dodge and evade so you can keep your health up and attack when he's most vulnerable. This is the first boss in this ranking list that required to make a strategy to defeat him. It took me 7 times before I could defeat him. Every boss before this took 1 death or less. Next in our list is the most difficult Delvar boss. This is Delvar Echo Alpha. This boss will only attack you if you come near a chest in the middle of this large room. It took me 11 tries to try and defeat this boss. You will first meet him when you're in the underground section for the first time. I recommend, however, you avoid him at this time since you're going to meet him again later on in the game. A few hours further, your gear is a much higher level and your weapons do a lot more damage. It's best to use a weapon that has a long range and does quick damage. This is necessary as the Delvar boss quickly jumps around you, and when you try to attack him, he will quickly evade. If you stay near to him, he does a lot of nano damage, so keep this in mind when your nanometer fills up. Like with others, if it's full, almost half of your health bar will be removed. If you still have difficulty defeating him the second time you meet him, there's a grinding spot right before him with a med bay. I recommend you keep on grinding there, leveling up your weapons and armor, till you're able to defeat him. Also keep in mind, this Delvar boss is an optional boss. You will, however, need to defeat him if you want to unlock the trophy for killing all 3 Delvar bosses. Next up is Little Johnny. He's the second most difficult in this ranking list. He's the second boss you will meet in the game as well. This boss is a spider mecha, with Little Johnny's head controlling him. Even after extensive leveling and upgrading my weapons and armor, it took me 17 tries to try and defeat Little Johnny. One reason why this boss is difficult is that you're still trying to learn the mechanics of the game. Also, this boss requires a good tact, as jumping in and just attacking him wildly will only get you killed. The spider mecha has 5 points that need to be targeted. 3 are on its legs, and 2 are on its middle shell as cooling pumps. Disabling his 3 legs is not really the problem here. You can just attack them, and when he lifts up his leg to stomp you, just dodge away. The cooling pumps in the middle, however, are the problem. Near the end, my tactic was just to destroy one of them with melee attacks, and then the last one I destroyed with my drone. I just didn't have enough health to melee attack the other cooling pump as well, as it killed me each and every time. Next up is the boss which was the most difficult for me in the game. It's Captain Cervantes. It took me 17 tries before I could kill him. Before trying to defeat this boss, I took a long time at Gideon's Rock, that's the area before this boss, to level up all my gear, stats, weapon and armor. I know it's probably going to be different for everyone who plays this game, but I really had a tough time in figuring out how to defeat this guy. One of the more annoying things about him is that he becomes invisible, and that you automatically lose your aim on him. You don't know where he pops up again, so the only tactic you have is just keep on jumping away to try and evade his attacks. Furthermore, he quite often drops a few bombs, which if you walk upon, you will immediately get electrified and cannot move or heal anymore. This together with his long, medium and short distance attacks makes it a really tough guy to beat. In the end, I finally found a tactic to defeat him, but still I had the feeling it had to do with a little bit of luck for me to defeat him in the end. So there you have it, the last boss in this ranking list. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave a comment, like or subscribe to us. After this I will show you the ending credits where it's also displayed how long it took me to defeat each boss and how many tries it took for me to do it. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comment box. Enjoy your day, ciao!